All right, guys, we got a 2016 Honda Pilot here. We're gonna replace the front pads and the disc. If you can manage to see this little spot right there and a little spot right there, so this is called a rotor warped here. So this car shakes on high speed. I can't even turn it. Anyways, I'm gonna give you a torque spec for this bolt and the bolt here, and the same bolt is down here and the bolt in the back here. Okay, so 2 bolts for the caliper, 2 for the bracket, and I'm going to show you guys how to take this guy off without any special tool and compress this caliper without any special tool. And we're going to do this job completely. We're going to use electric coated rotors, and we're going to use some good brake pads. I'm going to show you the parts as well as we go along, so stay tuned, keep watching, and let's begin this job by removing. I'm going to be removing both of these bolts. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is make sure the rotor is not hot, and we're gonna turn this. Okay, make sure you leave the key in the ignition. If you have a well, it's gonna allow you to turn this as a push start. So first you're gonna need a 17mm with a long ratchet like that, because this thing is not gonna be so easy to take off. What we'll do is, instead of taking both off, let's try to take one off and see if because I do not want to put any stress on this little guy. So there you go, very simple. To break that bolt loose, I'm gonna give you a torque spec on this guy. And what you wanna do now is, let's see if you can lift it. Okay, we have more than enough clearance. Our line is not getting flexed or pulled. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this cover off right here, the boot. We're gonna take this caliper, leave it right on the top. And we still had a life on the brake pads, but we're gonna change it with the new disc. Customer is complaining the car shakes. So you see this little guy? This is called a brake wear indicator sensor. Goes on the top, on the back pad. So we're gonna keep it in the same position. That goes down. The second pad come out. You see how easy these pads came out? If your pads come out really tough and you had to bang them out, you need to put a screwdriver back here to force them out. That means your brakes were seized, jammed up in there. Okay. We're also going to replace the hardware kit here. You got 2 pieces. But right now, we need to take off the 2 19mm bolts. Let's see if our camera can capture those. There you go. It's perfect. Okay. Got a 19mm over here. So, you're going to need an impact gun here because it's not going to be so easy. There you go. 1 and 2. We're going to get torque specs for both of these. So, there you go. That's what our bracket looked like. What we're going to do is we're going to put this to the side. Now, the challenge. The challenge here is this little guy right here is going to be so tough for you to take off. It never wants to come out. Maybe I'm lucky, but let's give it a try. See that? I don't want to strip it. You're going to need a tool called a punch, which you hit from the back. But check this out. Watch this. Okay, make sure it's in this angle. You take your hammer, give it a few good bangs, and see if it moves. If it doesn't move, you're gonna give it a few more good bangs. Okay. Let's give it a try. Yeah. A few more bangs. Let me just turn this bit right there. So what we're doing is we're gonna vibrate the base of it by hitting it with the hammer. Okay. Okay, we're not gonna go get no special tool. So what I want to do is now I want to go on the opposite side. I do try both sides because now this side is free. There's no screw here. If this side managed to move, that side will get affected. Okay, let's go. Okay. Let's give it a shot. Holy cow. Let's bring this baby back. Okay, I'm already tired, but this is how it's gonna be. I do have the punch tool, but I refuse to use it. Whew. Started banging. There you go. So if you manage to capture a good bang on this, it will come off just like that. Okay. Make sure your caliper, you could tie this up. But should be free now. Okay. Whew. That took a lot of energy. There you go. The disc is in shitty condition. So now we're gonna prep everything. What we're gonna do is we're gonna clean the hub as much as possible, and we're gonna put a little bit of grease. Okay, now what I want to do is get a wire brush, a buffer. You want to clean the heck out of this. The reason why you want to do this is because any of the little dirt debris stays behind. Your disc is gonna sit crooked. You're gonna have a pulsation. It's like having a bad rotor. So make sure you clean the heck out of it. There you go. And I'm gonna go get something to get rid of some of this crap here. A flathead screwdriver will do. Okay, nice and clean. I use a chisel to get this edges here, because even if you use a buffer, it's not gonna come out that clean. So use a little bit of a part cleaner, brake cleaner, spray that in, and just let it dry off. We'll put a little bit of a greasing here, and what we're gonna do next is we're gonna prep the caliper. All right, guys. So it's 2016 Honda Pilot. We're gonna continue the job. I'm gonna show you guys how to compress this caliper and do it properly. And you see all this corrosion in here. Down the road, we're gonna replace this caliper, but we should be able to get another year or so out of it. But I want you to clean the edges here. There's a lot of dust here before you even compress this piston. And if you want, take a little bit of a brake cleaner, spray this on it. It's gonna dry instantly. So spray some of this. Pretty good. There you go. I'm gonna go grab a rag. So this is the rag we got. I am gonna put a little bit of W40 or any type of lubrication that can okay, this is no good. Let me go get another W40. So another W40. Spray that onto your rag. And I like to do this because what this does is it lubricates the seal and it gives the lubrication for it to go in properly. So just rub that all around on it. Now what we're gonna do is, you're not gonna need any special tools here. They do want to sell you a special tool. So what you want to do is take one of your old brake pads. Let's move the camera this side so you guys can see it from this side. And bring my light down. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this guy right here, okay? Very simple. I'm gonna go get my compress tool next. Okay, next step, get your compress tool. You can use a C-clamp, whatever you got. Usually they want to sell you a special tool that's gonna grab both pistons, which has a wider base, and it goes through this whole thing. But you don't need all that. You don't need a special tool for the bolt and the rotor. So what we're gonna do here is I like to put my finger right here, just like that. Grab it, so this is gonna work like a clamp here, but it's really easy, okay? You're just gonna guide it. Squeeze one side, the other side, just guide it. If your caliper is super squeezed, super jammed, it's not gonna work out. But what we don't want to allow is, as you're pushing this piston in, you don't want this piston to come out. So that's all you're doing here. If you have power, you could just push it back just like that. You see that? Compressing both of them at the same time. Okay, I got one side flush, and then once you're done with the one side, the other side is automatically gonna start to go in. Just like that. She-bang, perfect. Compressed in and ready to get back together. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna prep our bracket and we're gonna put a little bit of greasing. You see this guy right here, rubber boot. Make sure you keep that rubber boot, same position on the top. And I'm gonna explain to you at the end of the video why that rubber boot is on the top. Okay, so we got our disc kit. This is electric coated disc kit. It has paint all the inside and good for emission, good for everything, and it's gonna prevent rust. There's the part number. There's the brand if you guys want to get. And I'm gonna be using the Evolution brake pads, really good. Usually Mitsubishi's and a whole bunch of other high performance cars use this. So that's the second disc. I still got to do the other side, but the process is the same. So just follow along. Brake cleaner. So you see it has oil on it. If you want to get rid of it, you don't have to clean all this, but this got to go. Otherwise, your brakes are not gonna work. So do that. Wipe it down. And if you want to give it another shot, same thing. Okay, same thing for the opposite side. Okay, once you're done, make sure you pump the brake pedal once all the job is completed and take it for test drive. And there is a procedure on this, how to brake in your brakes, but it's all about just driving normal speed. Don't go too fast and don't come to stop quickly. So you can follow the instructions there. Anyways, this is done. We're gonna take this onto the car. Okay, so the next step here is we're gonna take some of our brake grease here. This is a regular brake caliper grease. You wanna put a little bit all around, and that way our rotor can sit flush, just like that. And we're gonna go get the new rotor. What we want to do is we want to line the hole, one of the holes. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take this little guy and we're going to put this guy into this hole right here. And this is going to, if you guys need to remove this, you already seen how to do that. And make sure it's just hand tight. That's all it is. All it does is holds the rotor in the spot. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take our bracket here. We're gonna come back a bit. We're gonna take the bracket. We're gonna prep the bracket. So this bracket goes like that. You see this little guy? You see the difference there? So pay attention to that little difference, that little guy right there. So on the top is that, bottom is that. So what you wanna do here is you wanna clean this, okay? Clean this little guy really well. Make sure you have a mask on. All this dust is just crazy. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna go get a brake cleaner and clean this with spray some brake cleaner on this. Okay, so next step here is we're gonna take this cleaner, just spray a tiny bit and tiny bit, let it dry off. While it's drying off, let's pop off. You're gonna have this inside your brake pads. So we got the hardware kit here. So it's gonna come with everything you're gonna need. You're gonna need the retainers here. Everything's in there. So what I like to do next is I like to take a little bit of grease, put it on the base. Just like so. And then we're gonna take one of our brake hardware kit here. See this one? We're gonna put this in the back. So make sure the edges sit right there properly, both sides. So if one side is off, the other side is not gonna go in. So make sure it's just perfectly flat, flush. And then remember, the one on the top has this little guy. So we're gonna select that little guy, and same thing, bada bing, bada boom. We are gonna take a little bit more grease. We're gonna put it right here where the pad is gonna sit. There you go, just a tiny bit. Now it's time for us to put this back on the hub. Okay, next part is we're gonna take this little guy. We're gonna take the 2 bolts, the 19 millimeters, and I am gonna go get my torque wrench, and we're gonna torque these 2 bolts, and I'm gonna give you the torque specs as soon as I get that torque wrench. Okay, so I know you guys want to know this number. So this is 101 foot-pounds. So I got my torque wrench ready here with the 19 millimeter. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna torque this baby. There you go. Let me find the second one. Ah, come on. There you go. That's what you call 101 foot-pound. Woo! Alright guys, got my brake pads here. So remember, the brake pads, there's 4 in the box. So remember, this little guy in the inside on the top. So the reason here is, so when you go in reverse, when this thing brake pad is finished, it's gonna come into contact with that. It's gonna make a noise going in reverse. So the function of this rubber boot is, as the rotor is turning clockwise, counterclockwise, car is going forward. What this is doing is, it's like a plunger. It's opening the brakes more in the top, so the rotor can just slide right through it for better performance. That's all that is, and that's all I wanted to explain to you guys. Why that rubber boot is there. So I'm gonna have to get these guys in. So make sure if your brake pads don't go in properly. Okay, you see how this goes in smooth? If it doesn't go in smooth, then you need to hit it with the hammer here, just to file a bit here. Sometimes even the paint matters. So okay, so I got that guy in, and let me see if I can get the bottom one in. Sometimes the hardware kit falls down, so just push it up a bit, and your pad should go in. Okay, so far looking good, but we're not done. Let's go a little bit this way. What we're gonna do next is, so if you guys got a 2016, 17, 18, 19 Honda Pilot, part number on this particular box is right there, Evolutions. So what I want to do here next is, we're going to take this guy off, clean it off with the rag, We're going to use some special grease, silicone grease. Just put a tiny bit all around. Same thing here. And do not try to put any on the tip of it, because that's going to work like it's not going to compress in, because liquid will not compress. This will go back in just like that. We're gonna grab 2 of these, be ready, and we're gonna get this guy to go in. Okay, this little pin is gonna go on. If you want to put some greasing here in there, that's be a good idea, but on this particular brakes, I don't mess with that, because you're gonna have to grab it. Plus, we have the shims on the edges. Okay, get this last one back here. And I'm gonna give you guys the torque spec on the last 2 bolts. If you took off this one, make sure you torque that as well. So make sure this guy sits in there properly. So, take our bolt here. What we're going to do is, .53 foot-pound, and it is a 17 millimeter. So we have our 17 millimeter here. Make sure the tip of this bolt, the pin, is angled right into the spot where it's supposed to be at. 53 foot-pound. There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Make sure your brake line is nice and straight. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you take it for a test drive. Make sure nothing is rubbing. See you guys on the next one.